Those seeking life-saving aid to feed their children and themselves are being subjected to killing and degrading treatment and inhumane conditions, to a horrific degradation of life. This has to stop. It has to stop. Israel has to end this punitive, illegal siege. It has to open all crossings and allow aid to reach Palestinians throughout the Gaza Strip. Every country has an obligation to act. Act now. Act decisively. Act to end impunity. Act to end atrocities. Act for humanity.
I listened to all of you. You know, only a few of you actually mention a condemnation for Hamas. The rest, you forgot about that. Instead of confronting the truth, some on this council attempted to bury it. Instead of applying pressure where it belongs, on Hamas, you have applied it on the country actively working to bring its people back home. That is not diplomacy.
Thank you for convening this meeting at the outset of Guyana's presidency of the Security Council and reaffirms our confidence in your skilled leadership of the Council. We thank all the elected members of the Council, the E10, and their coordinator, Slovenia, who introduced the draft on behalf of the E10. We thank them for bringing these demands forward and for their leadership over the last 20 months. We thank all those who voted in favor of the draft resolution, the 14th of you. We thank Algeria for mobilizing the Council with the full support of the Arab group. You've accomplished something. 14 votes in the Security Council is something very formidable. We appreciate that. We thank you. Madam President, this draft resolution had a simple goal: demanding a ceasefire that would allow the beginning of the monumental work needed to end the horrific humanitarian situation, to stop the genocide, to release hostages and prisoners, and to get the Israeli occupying forces out of Gaza before they get a chance to implement their plans to destroy our people. As they press on with the mass killing and forcible displacement of Palestinian civilians and theft of Palestinian land. The draft resolution also demanded an end to the engineered starvation that has brought an entire civilian population, 2 million people, among them 1 million children, to the edge of famine, and then used aid to lure them and confine them to an extremely limited area of the Gaza Strip, clearly to facilitate their expulsion and annexation. OCHA has stated that Gaza is the hungriest place on earth. It is the only defined territory in the world where the entire population is at risk of famine. And OCHA added, the aid operation is one of the most obstructed aid operations, not only in the world today, but in recent history. End of quotation. Can this Council say anything about that? You cannot even say something about that? Can this Council act, as many of you have been saying, as demanded by the Charter that unify all of us to respect and honor the principles reflected and contained in that Charter, our Constitution? In the face of this open and ongoing threat to millions of human lives, those seeking life-saving aid to feed their children and themselves are being subjected to killing and degrading treatment and inhumane conditions, to a horrific degradation of life. This has to stop. It has to stop. Israel has to end this punitive, illegal siege. It has to open all crossings and allow aid to reach Palestinians throughout the Gaza Strip. The UN plan allows that. UN agencies and humanitarian organizations must be allowed to work to extend life-saving aid to all who need it. Let them work. Let them work. Let them get to their work, as has been stated by our colleagues. Israel is breaching the fundamental rules of international law, of basic humanity. The ICJ orders in the case on genocide, the resolutions of the Security Council and of the General Assembly. Israel is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity. Can the Council say anything about that? Can you say anything before acting? The E10 and the demands reflected in the resolution, one would have hoped that these minimal demands that are dictated by humanity, by legality, by morality, would have received unanimous support. But unfortunately, they were faced with a veto. This draft resolution is long overdue. It came months after Israel broke the ceasefire and enacted a full-fledged blockade in humanitarian assistance, and not only resumed, but escalated its relentless killing of Palestinian children, women, and men, and its rapid destruction campaign across Gaza. It came after months of blatant, unapologetic, brazen Israeli violations of the resolutions of this Council, including Resolution 2735. All states represented here were hoping that the efforts of the US, Egypt, and Qatar would yield an immediate ceasefire to end this horrific war. But unfortunately, until now, that has not happened. Does that mean Israel can continue its destruction of the Gaza Strip and of all life within it while the negotiations continue? Does that mean it can starve people, the 2 million of them? That is an untenable and an unacceptable position. It should be rejected. It should not be allowed to continue. Madam President, we will be heading to the General Assembly in the coming days. But let us be clear. What can stop this genocide are immediate and real measures by states to deter Israel from prolonging this aggression against the Palestinian people and forcing it to stop the mad march it is embarked on across the occupied Palestinian territory. Let me repeat, that measures by states, by the 14 of you, and by the dozens more, the almost 100 and maybe 60 who are in the General Assembly or more, measures by each and every one of you, as you demonstrate, and we are grateful for your demonstrations and tenacity in the Security Council in demanding action, and we also support you in continuing to knock on the door of the Security Council to shoulder its responsibility, but you can act in your national capacity. You don't need an invitation from anyone. You have tools available to you in your national capacity to make those who are making this miserable life of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, killing them, starving them, forcing them to stop this crime against humanity. Yes, you can do it, and you have to do it. And I am sure you are on the verge, some of you will start first, of taking these steps to stop this crime from continuing to happen. And the brave ones who will take the first few steps will be followed by others. It has happened in the crushing of the abhorrent system of apartheid. It started with an employee in a grocery store in Ireland that led to a massive movement that spanned the globe to bring down that abhorrent system of apartheid. We are not exception to the rule. We see the marches everywhere. We see the support everywhere. We see your support and your loud and brave and principled position in the Council and outside the Council. But we need to get to the business of each and every one of you. You have tools, you have available things to you in order to pressure those who are refusing to listen to all of us, refusing to listen to international law, refusing to listen to provisions of humanitarian international law, refusing to listen to the UN, to the Secretary General, to Mr. Fletcher, and all the brave leaders in the United Nations. They need to be dealt with differently until they yield to our collective will that we will not tolerate, nor we will allow them to continue killing the Palestinian people and starving them as we see it in the Gaza Strip. This is what's ahead of us, and I am confident that you will elevate yourself to such responsibilities, because you tried everything and now you are being forced to these extra steps that we are confident that you will. This is imperative to save lives and to finally bring an end to this abomination, this illegal occupation in every facet. Every country has an obligation to act. Act now. Act decisively. Act to end impunity. Act to end atrocities. Act for humanity. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Today, this Council stood at a crossroads, and most of you chose wrong. You chose appeasement and submission. You chose a road that does not lead to peace, only to more terror. We thank the United States for standing on the right side, for standing on the side of truth, justice, and moral clarity. Thank you for refusing to abandon the hostages and for refusing to legitimize the lies of this resolution. Thank you for showing the bravery to say what so many seem too afraid to say, that Hamas is the obstacle to peace, and that spoiling terrorists only deepens the crisis. Colleagues, there is a real framework already on the table. It is a US-backed proposal constructed with Egypt and Qatar. Israel has accepted multiple versions of that proposal. We have accepted compromise after compromise. We have said yes repeatedly because we are prepared to do whatever we can to bring our hostages back home. Hamas has rejected every single version of that proposal, every deal, every offer, every opportunity. They have responded with silence or with new impossible demands. They have shown the world time and again that they are not interested in reaching an agreement. They are only interested in surviving and delaying a deal for as long as possible. So why does this resolution say nothing about that? I listened to all of you. You know, only a few of you actually mention a condemnation for Hamas. The rest, you forgot about that. Instead of confronting the truth, some on this council attempted to bury it. Instead of applying pressure where it belongs, on Hamas, you have applied it on the country actively working to bring its people back home. That is not diplomacy. That is surrender. And it sends a clear message to Hamas. Reject every deal, and the international community will still reward you. Hold innocent civilians hostage, and the UN will still give you legitimacy. Continue the war, and the pressure will still fall only on Israel, not on the terrorists who started this war. You know that Hamas does not care about the resolutions, what's happening here. They don't care about innocent lives, international law, or about UN resolutions. But when you removed the release of the hostages as a condition for a ceasefire, and I know all of you very well, you know how to read a resolution, you know the power of the language of a resolution, but when you removed the release of the hostages as a condition for a ceasefire, you gave Hamas the freedom to ignore you all and to place every bit of pressure on Israel. You handed them time, leverage, and political cover. You have told the hostage families that their loved ones are no longer a priority. Mr. President, the hostages are innocent civilians kidnapped from their homes and held in the dark tunnels of Gaza. Many have been brutally murdered. They have not seen sunlight. They have not spoken to their families. They are being denied every basic human dignity. The Palestinian prisoners are terrorists who are protected by our legal system. Many of them are murderers with blood on their hands. They are held in accordance with the law, with access to rights, food, and medical care. Now, because Israel agrees to exchanges, it doesn't mean we accept a false equivalency. It was because we place unlimited value on every life, while Hamas only values death. And I heard some of you who made that comparison. To suggest that these two groups are morally equal, as this resolution seemed to, and you read the resolution again, you know the meaning of words. Putting the hostages together with the terrorists, it is not just dishonest, it is evil, it is immoral. Despite this absurd equivalence, the text still found time to lecture Israel on humanitarian aid. However, this resolution was proposed after humanitarian aid had already resumed. The new international aid mechanism developed with the US and in coordination with Israel has already become operational. That mechanism is delivering aid, but most critically, it is doing what the old system could not, stopping Hamas from stealing it. Over the past weeks, thousands of tons of aid have been distributed under the new mechanism. Alongside the new mechanism, hundreds of trucks have also been entering Gaza, carrying supplies coordinated by Israel and international partners. So I ask again, what is this Council doing by proposing this resolution now? You know, when we had the closure, I understood Slovenia, you wanted to stop it, but right after we opened the gates of Gaza, right after the new mechanism in action, now is the time to bring the resolution? This resolution doesn't advance humanitarian relief. It undermines it. It ignores a working system in favor of political agendas. It ignores the one party still endangering civilians in Gaza, Hamas, the group that hijacks trucks and stockpiles the aid to their benefit. If you really care about the people of Gaza, then stop protecting those who started this war and continue to prolong it. If you care about aid, then help ensure it reaches civilians and not terrorists. If you care about progress, then start telling the truth. Mr. President, Madam President, this resolution is not a step forward. It ignores the reality on the ground. It disregards the negotiations that are already underway. It betrays the very people it claims to protect. Israel will continue to fight for the return of our hostages. We will continue to protect our citizens. We will continue to cooperate with our partners to deliver aid to civilians. Israel will not stop. We will not rest. We will not abandon our people. We have proven time and again that military pressure works. Hostages come home not because Hamas decides to be merciful all of a sudden, but because they are forced to. And we will do whatever it takes to bring them back. You have dedicated all of your energy and efforts in drafting this resolution, negotiating on it, putting it to a vote. Now it will pass next week to the General Assembly for another vote. But colleagues, I must be very honest with you. Don't waste more of your energy. Don't waste more of your time, because no resolution, no vote, no moral failure will stand in our way. We will bring them home, all of them.